The slope-intercept form of an equation gives us all sorts of information about the equation itself. Now, it's written in the form y equals mx plus b. This is something you're going to have to memorize. When we look at this equation, y is equal to mx plus b, m refers to the slope of the line, whereas b refers to that are y-intercept, or the coordinate where the line crosses the y-axis. So, in the example on the right, the diagram gives us a run of 7, a rise of 8. So, we can calculate the slope, rise over run, which in this case is 8 over 7. So when we solve for the slope, we have the m value. In this case, m is equal to 8 over 7, which I've put right here. Our next step is just to find our y-intercept. Now if we look at the graph, we can see that the y-intercept is 0, 5, and that it crosses the y-axis at 5. So b, which is our y-intercept, is equal to 5. Okay, so remember, the slope-intercept form is in the form y is equal to the slope times my x plus the y-intercept value. And we write that as y is equal to mx plus b. In this case, m was 8/7, and b, my y-intercept, was 5. As we saw just a minute ago, if you have something in slope-intercept form, you can read things off. In this case, my slope is 3, my y-intercept is 5. In this example, my slope is 2, and again, my y-intercept is 5. Here, I have a slope of 1/3, and since we're subtracting 4, I have a y-intercept of -4. My last example, y is equal to 4, I have nothing being added to 4x, so my slope is 4 and my y-intercept is 0. A little bit tricky. So remember, when you have something written in slope-intercept form, my slope is given as m, my y-intercept is given as b. These are all my slope values, and these are my intercept values. Even this one here, which we know actually has 0 being added to it. Well, what if it's not in slope-intercept form? Well, actually, we've already done that. All we have to do is rewrite the equation in terms of y, like we did when we were working with function form. So, if you remember how to do this, I think you could probably figure out how to put it into slope-intercept form. All you do is solve it in terms of y. If not, if you've forgotten how to do this again, I've embedded the function form video again, and you can watch it one more time. But if you know how to do this, just go ahead and solve writing an equation in function form means you have to get it in a form where it's y equals. On the right, y is plus 4x is equal to 7 is not in function form. It's not in the form y is equal. On the other hand, y is equal to minus 4x plus 7 is in function form. So when we get equations that aren't in function form, we have to move the x and any other number away from the y, so we have it in terms of y is equal. As you can see, this equation is not in function form. It's not in terms of y. It's not y equal to something all by itself. What we'd like to do is move the 2x to the other side of the equation. Now we saw when we were solving equations, you can't just move something across an equal sign. So in order to move the 2x from the left side to the right side, we have to add the additive inverse. Add its opposite. Now the opposite of 2x is negative 2x. So if we add negative 2x to both sides of the equation, we keep the equation in balance, and 2x plus negative 2x leaves us with y by itself on the left hand side of the equation, and it's equal to 12 plus negative 2x. Now, one other thing about function form, it has to be written in the form y is equal to x. The x has to come first, so it can be 2x, 3x plus 5. In this case, it'd be negative 2x plus 12. So we're still not quite finished, and what we need to do is rewrite it so that we have it in the proper form, y is equal to negative 2x plus 12. At this point, it's in function form. And now we're done. As you can see, this equation is not in function form. It's not in terms of y. So we're going to have to move the x over to the right hand side of the equation, and then we're going to have to remove the 2 from the y. And to move the x across the equal sign, what we have to do is add the additive inverse. The additive inverse of positive x is negative x. So I'm just going to add negative x to both sides of the equation. Doing this, I'm left with 2y on the right hand side of the equation. In our next step, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2. This will remove the 2 from the y side. Remember, if you multiply the left-hand side of the equation by 1/2, you'll have to multiply every term on the right-hand side by 1/2.
Like I've done here. Our last step is to simplify. And the 1/2 times the 10 will leave me with 5. We're left with our final answer, y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 5 in function form.